Once again, Christian greetings to all our valued listeners and viewers throughout the whole world. More particularly to all Shepherd's Rod believers, and most especially to our beloved brothers and sisters in the United States of America. Special greetings to our brethren in Colorado, our brethren in Kansas, in Georgia, in Texas, in Fiji Island, Mexico, Spain, in Africa, in Kenya, to our brethren in Pakistan, to the United Kingdom, and also in Australia, and to the rest of the 144,000 living saints scattered abroad. Greetings. May the good Lord bless you, brothers and sisters. This is our episode number 25 on the subject, the chronological order of events, and especially dedicated to our beloved brother Steve and sister Corinne, and to the rest of the brethren who are listening and viewing this program. And at this time, I would like to focus to that statement, the given time. Remember, brothers and sisters, according to the great controversy on page 323, it says, another kind of evidence that vitally affected my mind, he says, was the chronology of the scriptures. I found that predicted events which had been fulfilled in the past often occurred within a given time. And the last part, it says, the events limited by these times were all once only a matter of prophecy and were fulfilled in accordance with the predictions. The Great Controversy, page 323. So, here, greatly emphasizing that all the predicted events, there is always given time. And I do fully believe, brethren, that the statement in 1 TG number 33 on page 3, it says, this afternoon we are to study Isaiah chapters 31 and 32. In these chapters, we shall see the cause of Zion's captivity by the Gentiles, their time limit, and antitypical Israel's deliverance. The statement, their time limit, plainly indicating that there is a given time, brothers and sisters. And for example, the Jewish people, the time limit allotted to them is the 70 weeks in Daniel 9, verse 24 to verse 27. And we know that that is equivalent to 490 years, ended on October 16, 34 AD. From October 16, 457 BC. So, the statement, their time limit, brothers and sisters, plainly indicating that there is a given time. And we will focus our attention to that prophecy, the given time. Remember, to us our page 144 83, it says, concerning the foolish virgins, now why were they unconcerned at first and very jealous at last? The experience in this instance is about the same as that of the deluge. While Noah preached the coming of the flood, the world paid little attention to this message, but those who believed went into the ark at a given time, and the door was closed. But not long afterwards, signs of Noah's protection appeared. And as drops of rain began to fall, the wicked multitude became alarmed and rushed for the ark, but the door was closed and they were left out. The door that was shut is a symbol showing that provision for the church had closed just shortly after the foolish virgins became alarmed. At last they were willing to pay the price and buy the oil, but it was not a change of heart, only the fear of losing out. Their course of action had left them without the seal. The man with the writer's inkhorn had passed them by. What a terrible mistake. What a disappointment. Almost saved, but entirely lost. 2SR page 183 and page 184. So, the illustration the same as in the days of Noah. And one of the admonition given, brothers and sisters, is that in 1 TG number 12, on page 28, it says, thus all, both good and bad, who choose to remain outside the ark, perish. The antediluvian's experience should serve as a reminder to us that we be not presumptuous as were they. We should instead take to heart the clear warning that is pertinent to this hour. For we are told that as it was in the days of the flood, so shall it be at the time of the Lord's coming. So not only the bad perish in the flood, but as well as the good. And it reminds me, brothers and sisters, that statement given by the voice of inspiration, that if we will not eat the butter and honey, brothers and sisters, our so-called good works in reality, in the sight of God, it is just but a filthy rags. I would like to read track number 6, page 44. Track number 6, page 44. It says, without eating his butter and honey, will not your righteousness be as but the filthy rags of self-righteousness? Isaiah 64, verse 6. Without eating his butter and honey, will not your righteousness be as but the filthy rags of self-righteousness? Isaiah 64, verse 6. Now, I would like to read this reading, brothers and sisters. The message delivered by God's servant. It says, and I would ask, how can it be possible that men who believe the Bible and who have seen the exact fulfillment of all prophetic chronology thus far can say with any degree of propriety, these 70 weeks are indefinite? So it is concerning the 70 weeks that had been allotted, the limited time allotted to the Jewish people. Thus, such 70 weeks are indefinite. And then it says, where are their fruits? Not on the records of divine inspiration. For here we find no sample. Here is no time given that has not been literally fulfilled according to the true intent and meaning of the prophecy. Why not then settle this one point forever among believers in the divine authority of the scriptures, that the chronology of prophecy is to be received with an equal faith with the chronology of history. Why not believe the declarations of God concerning the future as we do concerning the past? So, we will be studying the chronology of the future, as well as we are studying the chronology of the past. But here in one as our packet edition, it says here, and one as our packet edition, on page 57, it says, explain the cost, the reason, the significance of former things. He demands, God demands. Tell us, what do they mean? What are they for? Can you predict the future by the past? Be it good or be it bad? Exhibit divine power if you can. And it was quoted from Isaiah 41, verse 4, verse 21 to verse 23. Can you predict the future by the past? Be it good or be it bad? Then it says, exhibit divine power if you can. Remember, brothers and sisters, according to 1SR, in page 231, it says, the wisdom and knowledge of the infinite is beyond comprehension by the finite. The wonders we behold and the events which make the history of our world are but duplicates from the blueprints in heaven. It says, the events which make the history of our world are but duplicates from the blueprints in heaven. And of all the movements, it is the 11th hour ministry that God give to them accurate and reliable blueprint. Here in 11 Symbolic Code number 6, page 19, the Lord has given us in this day an accurate and reliable blueprint in His 11th hour message, so that none of us need err in knowing how great a privilege we have to be a true witness for Him in word, in deed, and in action. 11 Symbolic Code number 6, page 19. I would like to read this statement, brothers and sisters. It says, for God is an exact timekeeper. See Acts chapter 17, verse 26 and 31. And also Job 24, verse 1. And Leviticus 23, verse 4 and 37. It says, these passages show that time is an important point in the law of the Lord. Therefore, type and antitype must correspond exactly as it regards time. So this statement is also the same in the Great Controversy on 399. It says, the Great Controversy 399. These types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as to the time. So these types were fulfilled not only as to the event, but as well as to the time. Now, here's another statement. It says, thus exactly fulfilling the type, not only in the things signified, but in the time. Then it says, if the types had been fulfilled exact, if the types had been fulfilled exact as to time, even to the hour, where that is known, will those that remain to be fulfilled be less exact? I think not. God always has kept time in the fulfillment of the prophecies. And thus far, as we have seen in the types, He will not fail on us now. No, not one jot or one tittle shall pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So, that is very plain, brothers and sisters. Now, here's another statement I would like to read to you. It says, not willingly blind must see and feel too that those which remain unfulfilled will be fulfilled with an equal strict regard to time. Not only so, but Christ Himself confirms this argument from analogy by saying that one jot or tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Those types which were to be observed in the 7th month have never yet had their fulfillment in the antitype. Now, it points out to the final Day of Atonement, brothers and sisters. So, it was guaranteed by inspiration that type and antitype should exactly fit and perfectly match, not only to the event, but as well as to the time. Now, let us read one SR Packet Edition on page 73. It says, all these modern occurrences being perfectly matched with the ancient ones, both in time and objective. You see, brothers and sisters? It says, both in time and in objective. They definitely confirm the fact that the work of the shepherd's rod is divinely foreordained and as timely in our day as was Moses' work and his rod in his day. One is consequently overwhelmingly compelled to acknowledge providential design and foreknowledge of the reader's eternal welfare for thousands of years in advance. so completely disarming the enemy of souls. The great designer of these typological truths leaves the reader free to make his own choice as to whether he will continue in the darkness or come out into the light of the Lord, no longer to wonder what church to join or what is truth and what is error. One is our pocket edition, page 73. The Shepherd's Rod also told us that God keeps accurate time. In 1 SR page 153, it says, 1 SR 153, for God keeps accurate time. So that's the statement. 1 SR 153, for God keeps accurate time. Now, I would like to read again the statement in 2 SR 255. It says, 2 SR 255, such close calculations of the schedule of events. Of course, the word is schedule. There must be time. Time prophecy. 2 SR 255. Such close calculations of the schedule of events that are soon to transpire. So that events must be future, because it says that are soon to transpire. Make it evident that the end of all things is at hand. Otherwise, the information would not as yet have been submitted. Of course, God never works giving the information after the event. God's divinely pattern is that God will not give the information if the event are still in a far distant future. But at the same time, God will not give the information after the event. And that is why here in 1 SR Packet Edition, on page 9 and 10, any thinker knows that to have made known the truth of it before time would have left it as vain, valueless, and ineffective, as would making known the truth about the image of the beast years before or a minute after it does its deceptive work. But at the striking of the foreordained hour, the time inspiration unlocks the mystery. All can behold the truth and profit by it. Happily, we can then intelligently strive to be among this guileless company and can be sealed with them if we sincerely and steadfastly follow on to know the truth on time. 1 SR Packet Edition, pages 9 and page 10. So God never late and never advance. God is an all-time God. That at the time of the divinely appointed time, and the same with the statement in the Bible. In Galatians chapter 4, on verse 4, it says, But when the fullness of the time was come, God sent forth His Son, made of a woman, made under the law. But I would like to focus to that statement, but when the fullness of the time was come. There is always a given time, and the event is fulfilled exactly accordingly to that given time, brothers and sisters. Now, would you think the last church in the last generation have less information? That would be in opposite. Being the last, I remember the statement in Answerer number 1. On page 68, it says, indeed, in the very nature of the case, the 11th hour movement must triumph, for being the last, the one to garner in the harvest, then should it fail, everyone in the world today would forever remain lost. Double, therefore, are the reasons that the Lord purposes it to stand. So in other words, of all the movements since the history of the world, the last and the final movement, brothers and sisters, is well guarded and protected by God. And of all the movements, that statement in the shepherd's rod is even more definitely applied to the last generation of men. Saying in 2 SR 195, it says that God's people, it says that God's people in 2 SR 195, that God's people have had sufficient light in every age. Before and behind denotes prophetic light, revealing to them the past, present, and future. This being made possible by the Spirit of God and by holy angels. To repeat, this statement is even more definitely applied to the last church in the last generation of men, that God revealed to them the past, the present, and future. For they were illustrated in Zechariah chapter 3, the stone having 7 eyes. And we know that it indicates complete spiritual vision. 1 TJ 14:21. It says, they are the eyes of the Lord. What a momentous day. What a great people. Evidently, they constitute the stone of Zechariah chapter 3, which we studied several weeks ago, and learned that it has 7 eyes, meaning complete spiritual vision. Past, present, and future. And the shepherd's son says that, what a gloomy life, brethren. Remember 2 TG number 37? It says here, in 2 TG number 37, page 11, what a gloomy life this would be if there were no history, if there were no possible way of knowing the past? And still worse would it be if there were no prophecy, if there were no way of getting an idea what the future holds. But worst of all would it be if there were no light on the present. But the absolute fact is that only through the subject of the sanctuary that we will know the past, the present, and the future. The Great Controversy, page 423, it says, light from the sanctuary illumine the past, the present, and the future. The Great Controversy, page 423. Because the way of the Lord is in the sanctuary. Psalms 77 on verse 13. That is the way of the Lord. The way of the Lord is found in the sanctuary. I would like to read again this statement written by A.G. Wagoner. The way of the Lord is in the sanctuary. The way of the Lord is in the sanctuary, and His sanctuary is His people. Therefore, we see that the way of the Lord is prepared only by the preparation of His people, by the cleansing of the sanctuary. So that statement can be easily understood, brothers and sisters, that the way of the Lord is in the sanctuary. Psalm 77, page 13. Therefore, unto whom God revealed the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary, that is His people. The shepherd's rod made it so plain that the plan of redemption had been revealed through sanctuary construction and service. 2SR page 187. So let's read again the statement. It says, in order to make a proper application of the seven seals, we must have a better understanding of the heavenly sanctuary, of the heavenly sanctuary service, its origin, and the object of its existence as thought by the earthly sanctuary built by Moses. In the sanctuary construction and service is revealed the plan of salvation. 2SR 187. So, the complete truth, the same with the statement in the Great Controversy, page 423, it says, the Great Controversy 423, the subject of the sanctuary, it says, it opened to view. I would like to read the Great Controversy 423. It opened to view a complete system of truth, connected and harmonious. So I would like to read again. It opened to view the subject of the sanctuary. It opened to view a complete system of truth, connected and harmonious. And that is the central pillar of the Advent faith. So the statement in 1SR 231 saying, the wisdom and knowledge of the infinite is beyond comprehension by the finite. The wonders we behold and the events which make the history of our world are but duplicates from the blueprints in heaven. And that blueprints in heaven is the book in the right hand of God the Father. That is the book by which the plan of redemption had been laid down, brothers and sisters. And no man in heaven nor on earth that been able to read that book except Jesus Christ. Now, I would like to read this reading in to symbolic code number 7 and 8, page 10. It says, to symbolic code number 7 and 8, page 10. One of the proofs that the seals include the entire world's history is in the fact that the book with the 7 seals is the book of life, which contains the record of God's professed people, and also in the fact that it was to be opened in the day of judgment. Hence, it proves that in 1844, when the judgment began, Christ opened the book before the throne that surrounded the throne, and this being the Lamb's book of life, which no one but the Lamb could open, containing the record of the people from Adam's time and on. It is obvious that the 7 seals, which were broken at the beginning of the judgment, contain the entire history of the human race, divided into 7 periods, which sealed the book up to the day of judgment. To symbolic code 7 and 8, page 10. And that's what it means by the testimony of Jesus Christ. In 2TG number 12, let me read to you. 2TG number 12. On page 24, it says, 2TG 12:24. Chapters 4 and 5, we see, contain a scene of a special event which caused the book to be unsealed. That which came out of the book is, in the fullest sense, the revelation of Jesus Christ, of the one who only was worthy to open the book. Thus it is that the revelation of Jesus Christ begins with the 6th chapter and ends with the last chapter of the book. The chapters in which are recorded the things which the breaking of the 7 seals disclose. Yes, the revelation consists of the things which were sealed with 7 seals. It is clear now that it is the revelation of Jesus Christ which God gave unto him. That is, to Jesus God gave the book. Jesus took it, broke the seals with which it was sealed, and laid open the things which no one could reveal but he. The 7 seals, therefore, covers all the revelation of Jesus Christ which God gave unto him, and consists of the things which came out of the book. And in page 25 it says, the revelation then is thus divided into 7 parts. And so when we speak of the 7 seals, we are in reality speaking of the revelation. So the testimony of Jesus Christ is his testimony concerning the plan of redemption. He completely revealed that plan of redemption in the hand of God the Father. And that is the blueprint of the entire history of the world. From creation down to the new earth, brothers and sisters. But remember, the voice of inspiration is plainly telling you and I that the revelation, 2TG 12:30, the revelation therefore is to be more fully understood during the judgment of the living. Whatever understanding that was bestowed by God in the period of the judgment that pertains to the dead they did not fully understand. Because the promise that the book of Revelation will be more fully understood during the judgment of the living. And are we not happy and glad that such promise will be fulfilled unto us? That is the fulfillment of that statement in volume 6, and it is concerning the plan of redemption. Right? In volume 6, page 19, it says, mysteries into which angels desire to look. What is that mystery? That is the mystery recorded in Romans 16, verse 25. It says, Romans 16, verse 25. This is the statement. Romans 16, verse 25. Verse 25 and 26. Now to him that is of power to establish you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery which was kept secret since the world began, but now is made manifest, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the everlasting God, made known to all nations for the obedience of faith. But these two verses in reality did not materialize in the days of Apostle Paul. And that is the crowning act of the gospel under the third angel's message. Let me read to you this reading and lessons on faith. Let's read again the statement. 102. Lessons on faith, 102. And this is the mystery of God today and forever. God manifests in the flesh, in human flesh, in flesh laden with sin, tempted and tried. In this flesh, God will make manifest the knowledge of Himself in every place where the believer is found. Believe it and praise His holy name. This is the mystery which today in the third angel's message is again to be made known to all nations for the obedience of the faith. That is the statement in Romans 16 verse 26. That such manifestation of Jesus Christ, what does it mean? The Bible is Jesus Christ in the forms of words. So let us read again that statement given by the shepherd's rod. It says here, track number 3, third edition. It says, page 92, Christ is the Word incarnate. The Bible, the Word written, or to put it still more specifically, the Bible is Christ in the form of words, and Christ is the Bible in the form of man. So the Bible is Christ in the form of words. Therefore, if the entire Bible will be completely unfolded, then Jesus Christ is manifested to that people by which the plan of redemption is completely unfolded. Because the Bible contains the complete formula of the plan of redemption. 1 TG number 10, page 18. The Bible contains the complete plan of salvation for all humanity. Then when Jesus Christ came to visit the earth to give message to Ezekiel, according to that reading in tract number 1, let us read the divine mission of Jesus Christ. It says in tract number 1, pages 12 and 13, as the prophet was looking toward the north, he saw a great cloud coming like a whirlwind to earth. Watching with intense interest, it's drawing nearer and nearer. Finally, he saw the living creatures, the wheels and the rest, the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. Whereupon I fell, he says, upon my face, and I heard a voice of the one that spake unmistakably, the Lord himself, Jesus Christ, come to give a message to Ezekiel. But according to page 29 and page 30 in tract number 1, it says, the reader will note that though the prophet was bidden to go to speak to his people, yet instead of being told what to say, he was commanded, open thy mouth and eat that I gave thee. And then it says, as the words which Ezekiel was to speak to his people were found in the book which he ate, the book can be none other than the Bible, from which comes the message culminating in joy, mourning, and... So what is the book that had been given to Ezekiel? The Bible. What is the Bible? That is the plan of redemption. And that is the testimony of Jesus Christ. Therefore, to understand the book of Revelation is to understand the Bible. And what is the revelation? The revelation of Jesus Christ. Revelation of what? The revelation of the plan of redemption. Now let us read again the statement in 2SR page 9. It says, the book of Revelation is said to be a closed book full of symbolical mysteries, incomprehensible to human beings. This is true of all prophetic truths. The one who admits this fact of the book of Revelation automatically confesses that he does not understand the Bible, for all the books of Holy Writ meet and end in the Revelation. Therefore, to understand that book, the book of Revelation, is to understand the Bible, by which contains the complete formula of the plan of redemption. And concerning the book of Revelation, according to tract number 15 on page 13, it says, brothers and sisters, for both seers distinctly declare that the event which they saw was the judgment. The difference between the two scenes is that Daniel was led to look into the sanctuary while preparations were being made for the judgment to convene, whereas John was led to look into the sanctuary after the judgment had been set up. In fact, John not only saw the judgment in progress, but he saw the whole proceedings from start to finish. Therefore, to understand the book of Revelation is to understand the entire proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary from start to finish, by which the plan of redemption is completely unfolded and revealed. Here's another statement that I would like to read to you, brothers and sisters. as stated here in the spirit of prophecy, and ponder deeply. It says here, let us read. It is written in Signs of the Times on June 2, 1890. It says, during the time of trouble, the position of God's people will be similar to the position of Joshua. They will not be ignorant of the work going on in heaven in their behalf. That is the true people of God. They will not be ignorant of the work going on in heaven in their behalf. Then it says, the judgment of the dead has been going on, and soon the judgment will begin upon the living, and every case will be decided. It will be known whose names are retained upon the book of life and whose are blotted out. Signs of the Times, June 2, 1890, paragraph 4. So, that is very plain. And the prophet, Sister White, says, I would like to repeat again, to establish our faith firmly rooted and grounded into the truth of the plan of redemption. It says here, on a Bible commentary for BC 1139, Isaiah's experience, 1138, Isaiah's experience represents last day church. Then the quotation is Revelation 11 verse 19. What is Revelation 11 verse 19? The last verse in the description under the seventh trumpet. Therefore, it points out to the seventh angel. Now, before reading that statement, let us read again the statement that the last of the message of the seventh angel, accordingly, is the total sum of the message of the third angel. It says, number 19, that is, if we can gather any idea of what the watchman means, the angel of chapter 10 is the seventh angel. His message is the sum total of 3 messages, and the last message of the seventh angel is the third angel's message. The last part of this last message is the promulgation of the doctrine of life and death. So that is very plain, brothers and sisters. That is the last message. And that is the seventh angel in Revelation chapter 10, verse 5, 6, and 7. Now let us read again the statement. And for BC 1138, Isaiah's experience represents last day church. And it could not be the Seventh-day Adventist church, because this church, they are the church by which they proclaim the great and dreadful day of the Lord. 1 Timothy 27, page 8. Since this message announces that the great and dreadful day of the Lord is at hand, that the judgment for the living is about to begin, and since Isaiah the prophet was given a vision of the Lord's moving into his temple for this judicial work, the prophet's experiences while he was yet in vision must therefore represents the experience of God's servants who are to announce the day of the Lord. His experience and commission must be our experience and commission. To announce, to proclaim the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And according to the General Conference Special, page 39, let us read again. It says, brothers and sisters, the judgment for the dead, furthermore, is not the message of the great and dreadful day. It does not even touch on the prophecies of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Obviously, therefore, the church mentioned in 4 BC 11:38 cannot and will not be the Seventh-day Adventist Church, because they have no knowledge. Not only that they have no knowledge, God never entrusted to them the message of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And the great and dreadful day of the Lord, brothers and sisters, can only be understood through the shepherd's rod message. Now, I would like to read again in 4 BC 11:39 concerning the experience of these people. It says, 4 BC 11:39, the vision given to Isaiah represents the condition of God's people in the last days. They are privileged to see by faith the work that is going forward in the heavenly sanctuary. You see, brothers and sisters, they have been given such privilege to see by faith what is going forward in the heavenly sanctuary. I remember this reading in track number 9. It says, page 55. Track number 9, page 55. They follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That is the 144,000 living saints. They follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. That is pointing to the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary. They have complete understanding. They follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth, with the result, the outcome of their following the Lamb. Then, when he stands on Mount Zion, they too stand there. What does it mean? Brothers and sisters, when we will stand on Mount Zion, our names will be brought into the presence of God the Father in the palace grounds. That is indicating immortality is granted unto them. Now, I would like to go back again to the reading on Lessons on Faith. On page 102, it says, this is the mystery which today, in the third angel's message, is again to be made known to all nations for the obedience of the faith. We know, brothers and sisters, that the third angel's message, which was entrusted by God to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That is the statement, Testimonies for the Church, volume 9, on page 19. It says, Testimonies for the Church, volume 9, page 19, in a spatial sense, Seventh-day Adventists had been set in the world as watchmen and light bearers. To them has been entrusted the last warning for a perishing world. On them is shining wonderful light from the Word of God. They had been given a work of the most solemn import, the proclamation of the first, the second, and the third angel's messages. There is no other work of so great importance. They are to allow nothing else to absorb their attention. But what happened to the Seventh-day Adventist Church? According to TM page 86, they were following the path of the worldlings. It says the fact is gaining ground that the Seventh-day Adventist Church is following the path of the worldlings. And it says in volume 8, page 116, the church is becoming converted to the world daily. Daily, the church is converted to the world. And the third angel's message became tame and voiceless. It says here in volume 6, page 60, we are in danger of giving the third angel's message in so indefinite a manner that it does not impress the people. So many other interests are brought in that the very message which should be proclaimed with power becomes tame and voiceless. But here is the promise or the prediction given here in Testimonies for the Church, volume 5, 252. It says, volume 5, page 252. It says, the spirit which characterized that wonderful meeting on the day of Pentecost is waiting to manifest its power upon the men who are now standing between the living and the dead as ambassadors for God. The power which stirred the people so mightily in the 1844 movement will again be revealed. The third angel's message will go forth not in whispered tones but with a loud voice. Volume 5, page 252. But the voice of inspiration says, brothers and sisters, in White House Recruiter, on page 39, it says, let us read again the statement given by the voice of inspiration. But in what way? White House Recruiter, page 39. But in what way is it to give absolute power and force to them? First, by bringing to light the heretofore unrevealed aspects of the judgment. Or in other words, the third angel's message will never swell into a loud cry, not until, brothers and sisters, all the unrevealed aspects concerning the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary will be completely unfolded, will be completely revealed, and it will give power and force to the third angel's message that it will swell into a loud cry. And according to White House Recruiter, page 34, it says, with the completed judgment message during the 11th hour. So, there is a divinely appointed time by which the message of the third angel will be completely unfolded, and that is during the 11th hour. And here in the General Conference is special on page 39. Let us read again the statement saying, in fact, the three angels' messages are applicable to the judgment for the dead only indirectly. For the judgment for the living is the all-important event. That is, the angel is not sent particularly to explain what the judgment does to the dead, but what it is to do to the living. So we see that the more we consider the subject, the more obvious becomes the truth that the third angel's message in its final phase is the judgment for the living, the harvest. Plainly then, the work of Elijah is to give light on the judgment for the living. Therefore, this antitypical Elijah that is by God will send this prophet in the period in the judgment for the living. General Conference Special, page 39. and page 40. And I would like to remind again, brothers and sisters, that according to the great controversy in page 449, it says, the most fearful threatening ever addressed to mortals is contained in the third angel's message. That must be a terrible sin which calls down the wrath of God unmingled with mercy. Men are not to be left in darkness concerning this important matter. The warning against this sin is to be given to the world before the visitation of God's judgment, that all may know why they are to be inflicted and have opportunity to escape them. The Great Controversy, page 449. And it says here, I would like to read to you this reading given by the voice of inspiration. Here, and the messages delivered by Alonzo Jones. It says here, let's read the statement. It says, therefore we ask, it is number 77. It says, therefore we ask, what danger will there be that men will worship the beast at a time when there will be none for them to worship? God will never send an angel to warn men against the worship of the beast when he does not exist. That is very plain, brothers and sisters. But I would like to read this reading. Number 79. The rejection of the truth of God leaves men the captives of Satan, the subjects of his deception. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 9 to 12. The greater the light which men reject, the greater the power of deception and of darkness which will come upon them. The Advent message has been given in our own land and by the mass rejected, and no greater and indeed no other light can ever be given to those who have turned away from that. The third angel gives us warning of the danger which is now before us. The warning precedes the danger that we by seasonable admonition may make our escape. And that is very, very logical. The statement says that the warning message precedes the coming danger. The voice of inspiration says that God will not send the message of warning if that danger is still in the far distant future. But the mere fact that God sent that message, that danger will soon be materialized. And I would like to read to you this reading, brothers and sisters. The statement given by Alonzo Jones. It says here, and hoping that we'll be enlightened with these messages. Let's read. And the statement is very plain. I would like to read to you. It says, it was entitled Image to the Beast. Image to the Beast. Although that is not our subject, but it is closely connected because this image to the beast, an image of the beast, will be realized, brothers and sisters, on the year 2021, 2022. Now, I would like to read this reading. It says, someone told me the other day about another translation. Speaking of that, I do not know whether it is the revised version or some other that reads, the false prophet that wrote miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that had received the image. Brothers and sisters, we as Shepherd's Rod believers, we are the only people by which we consider the spiritual side. Because mostly Christians, including Sabbath keepers, the only thing that they consider is the material side. Now, here the spirit prophecy is telling you and I that in Revelation 19, verse 20, it says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrote miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. Remember, the Shepherd's Rod admonished us in 2SR page 118, saying that 2SR page 118, this is the statement. Therefore, 118 in 2SR, therefore, we must consider the use of the biblical past and present tense. This grammatical rule is followed in the scriptures, and it is one way to recognize present truth. 2SR page 118. Now, Revelation 19 verse 20 is very plain. Who are they that worship the beast and worship his image? Brothers and sisters, or in other words, who are they that had been deceived by that miracles? What is that miracles performed by the false prophet? I would like to read first Revelation 13. Revelation 13 on verse 13. Revelation 13 verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So that is the miracle that had been performed by the false prophet, by which he maketh fire come down from heaven. And who are they that had been deceived by that miracles, or by that miracle of the false prophet? It says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrote miracles before him, which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. Therefore, the miracles that will be performed by the false prophet, brothers and sisters, the one that will be deceived by that miracles are those that had received the mark of the beast. So, the people received the mark of the beast before the false prophet performed that miracles. They already received the mark of the beast and they already worship his image. But that is called in this study the spiritual side. And that's what it means in 2SR page 100. 2SR page 153. I would like to read. 2SR page 153. It says, the time of that wholesale deception is at hand. It will take more than great knowledge of theology to escape the most powerful trap His Satanic Majesty has ever devised. The wonderful miracles will be convincing, and the apparently genuine spirit of worship will bring deep conviction upon those who are subject to be misled. Who are they? Those people who place themselves subject to be misled. Why is it that they are already subject to be misled? Now let us go back again to the reading. And then read the shepherd's rod in 1 TG. Let's read again the statement. It says, the rejection of the truth of God. The truth of God mentioned here is the present truth. The rejection of the truth of God leaves men the captives of Satan and the subjects of his deception. Once you reject the present truth, you place yourself subject to deception. Why? Because only those whose names left written in the Lamb's Book of Life will be protected by God. And the Bible is very plain. In Revelation 13, let us read. Revelation chapter 13. This is the statement given by the voice of inspiration. Revelation 13 verse 8, and all, meaning all of them that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. The statement shall worship him, meaning obligatory. They have no choice. It says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. This reading can be easily understood, brothers and sisters, that the final day of atonement, the blotting out all the names of the wicked in the Lamb's Book of Life, precedes the implementation of the image to the beast. And all of them whose names are not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life shall worship the beast and his image, because they have no protection. The only one that will be protected by God are those whose names had been left written in the Lamb's Book of Life. And that is the warning. That is the warning message of the third angel. To inform the people to be sure that your names will be retained in the Lamb's Book of Life. Otherwise, you will have no protection at all. And that's why in the great controversy, here in the great controversy, let us read again. The great controversy. It says, Let's read the statement. 490. All who would have their names retained in the book of life. The great controversy, 490. All who would have their names retained in the book of life should now, in the few remaining days of their provision, afflict their souls before God by sorrow for sin and true repentance. The great controversy, 490. And remember, here in I would like to read Science, is it what book is this one? By Alonzo Jones, A.T. Jones. And number 1, it says, the last work of the once for all service of the heavenly sanctuary will be the great day of everlasting atonement. It says, the last work of the once for all service of the heavenly sanctuary will be the great day of everlasting atonement. You remember the statement in 2SR 187 that it is impossible that we could understand the subject of the 7 seals if we have no complete understanding concerning the sanctuary service in the heavenly sanctuary. And the last work of the once for all service of the heavenly sanctuary will be the great day of everlasting atonement. And it says, as the cleansing of the earthly sanctuary was the very last day of that annual round of service, so whenever the world shall have reached the time of the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary, the world will then have entered upon the very last days of the work of the gospel, and when the sanctuary will be finished as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. And that is why, in Consecrated Way to Christian Perfection, it says that the cleansing of the sanctuary and the finishing of the gospel are identical. Consecrated Way to Christian Perfection, page 113. The cleansing of the sanctuary and the finishing of the mystery of God are identical as to time and are also so clearly related as to be practically identical in character and event. Consecrated Way to Christian Perfection, page 113. So the cleansing of the sanctuary and the finishing of the mystery of God are identical as to time and are also so closely related as to be practically identical in character and event. So when the sanctuary is completely cleansed, all the names of the wicked are completely blotted out. At the same time, the plan of redemption is completely unfolded and revealed to the entire constituent of the living saints, the saints that will no longer to taste death, the 144,000 living saints, you and I, if we will be faithful. Remember, brethren, this plan of redemption, accordingly, it says that angels, let us read again in volume 6, page 19. mysteries into which angels desire to look, which prophets and kings and righteous men desired to understand. The remnant church will carry end messages from God to the world. The prophets prophesied of these things, and they long to understand that which they foretold, but to them this privilege was not given. They long to see what we see and to hear what we hear, but they could not. Volume 6, page 19 and 20. And you know, at this time, I really feel the reality of that statement in Ezekiel chapter 2 and chapter 3. That Israel is a rebellious people. They will not listen to you. But the Gentiles will listen. There are many who are sending messages to us that they were gladly listening this message. But shepherds, not believers, brothers and sisters, instead of giving glory and praise to the Lord that God hath given us this complete understanding of the plan of redemption in the proceedings in the heavenly sanctuary, but what they did, they speak evil. Now here in Lessons on Faith, I would like to read again the statement. Lessons on Faith, page 102 and 103. This is the mystery which today in the third angel's message is again to be made known to all nations for the obedience of the faith. This is the mystery of God, which in this time is to be finished. Not only finished in the sense of being ended to the world, but finished in the sense of being brought to completion in its grand work in the believer. This is the time when the mystery of God is to be finished in the sense that God is to be manifest in the flesh in every true believer, in every place where that believer shall be found. This is indeed and in truth the keeping of the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Lessons on Faith, page 102 and page 103. What is the faith of Jesus? That is concerning the revelation of Jesus Christ, the testimony of Jesus Christ. Revelation 19 verse 10 is the spirit of prophecy. And through the spirit of Christ, brothers and sisters, the sure word of prophecy had been unfolded concerning the complete plan of redemption. That such unfoldment is identical to the cleansing of the sanctuary. That while God's people are approaching the last and the final day of atonement, at the same time, the complete plan of redemption is revealed. The statement, and let us read again that statement. And the short version is very plain, brothers and sisters, that when that day of atonement will come, we must know it. So, I would like to read that statement. Let me see. And without the writings of the spirit of prophecy, we could never understand this thing, brothers and sisters. So I would like to it says so I would like to read again this reading. I am inclined to believe that those who watch for the day and hour will understand both before they arrive. Before they arrive. Paul says, Hebrews 10 verse 25, exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching, which seems to imply that it may be seen before it actually arrives. Our Lord says, Revelation 3 verse 3, if therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on you as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon you. Which implies that if we will watch, we shall know what hour. It appears to me probable that the blowing of trumpets in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, Leviticus 23 verse 24, is to be understood as a type of something that is to occur on that day, which will be a signal to those who are watching to show them that the 7th month has commenced. It may be the literal sounding of the 7th trumpet. And that is Revelation 11:19. And also Revelation 10 verse 5 to 7. If not that, something that God's people who are watching will understand, and they know for a certainty when the 10th day is. Psalms 81 verse 3, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, the first day of the 7th month, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. I think that the blowing of trumpets means something that we shall very soon understand. The Lord help us to stand on our watchtower. Ponder deeply this statement, brothers and sisters, and it's hard to imagine the statement in the Great Controversy saying, the Great Controversy 431, it says, the condition of the unbelieving Jews illustrates the condition of the careless and unbelieving among professed Christians who are willingly ignorant of the work of our merciful high priest. Would you think to know that Jesus Christ entered to the most holy place in October 22, 1844, that knowledge is enough and sufficient? Brethren, you are candidates to be among the living saints. The 144,000 living saints, they followed the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. And the significance is that they have a complete information concerning the work of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary. I remember the statement in track number 15. It says here, track number 15, page 57 and page 58. Track number 15, pages 57 and page 58, it says, thus it is that while the first 4 seals carry us through the periods of the day in which the works of men are made manifest, the last 3 seals carry us through the day of God, the day in which His truth and His works are made manifest. Now, I would like to focus to the statement, the truth and the works of God are made manifest. When? During the period of the last three seals. What is the last three seals? Brothers and sisters, that is the statement. During the period of the last three seals, God's truth and His works are made manifest. There is no other truth. The truth of the sanctuary. And to us are page 139, it says, the Bible is the revelation of creation and redemption in Christ, Creator and Redeemer. Therefore, the Sabbath and the sanctuary constitute the truth. See Hebrews chapter 9, verse 10, Hebrews chapter 4, verse 4 to 10. Thus, these two doctrines are coupled together, cannot be separated, and bear the whole truth. And to us our page, it says here, brothers and sisters, that the shepherd says, Jesus Christ called the daily and the sanctuary as the truth. Let me see. That is how Jesus Christ called the daily and the sanctuary. And Jesus Christ called it the truth, or the Bible called it the truth, the daily and the sanctuary. To SR page 'Now, where's that statement? I'm looking. The daily and the sanctuary, it is called the truth. You find the statement. 2SR page 'I'm looking that statement. I would like to read 138. It says, truly are people working for God or for themselves? The angel in giving instruction to Daniel, calls the Sabbath and the sanctuary truth the truth. Indeed, it is the truth. So what is the truth? That is the Sabbath and the sanctuary truth. It is called the truth. 2SR page 138. But in 2SR page 131, it says, Jesus calls the daily and the sanctuary holy place. Why is it that Jesus Christ in Matthew 24 verse 15 called the daily and the sanctuary, which is the truth? Concerning the sanctuary, it is called holy place because in this study, the most important part in reality, in the mediation of Jesus Christ in the heavenly sanctuary, is Christ's mediatorial work in the holy place, that if you failed Christ's mediatorial work in the holy place, you will lose forever. Which is called the blotting out of names. Because once your names will be blotted out, the only names to be brought into the presence of God the Father in the most holy place are those names that had not been blotted out. Therefore, once your names will be blotted out in the Lamb's Book of Life, in the holy place, then your hope is forever gone. Now, I would like to read the Great Controversy 430. It says, the condition of the unbelieving Jews illustrates the condition of the careless and unbelieving among professed Christians who are willingly ignorant of the work of our merciful high priest. In the typical service, when the high priest entered the most holy place, all Israel were required to gather about the sanctuary and in the most solemn manner humble their souls before God, that they might receive the pardon of their sins and not be cut off from the congregation. How much more essential in this antitypical Day of Atonement that we understand the work of our high priest and know what duties are required of us. The Shepherd's Rod also very plain. In 2SR page 220. 2SR page 220, it says, 2SR page 220, therefore, a revelation of the judgment for the living is of as great importance as the revelation of the gospel itself. 2SR 220. Therefore, a revelation of the judgment for the living is of as great importance as the revelation of the gospel itself. For the judgment, blotting out the sins, is the crowning act in the gospel of Christ. Thus, we conclude that when the seal is opened and the judgment for the living begins, we must know it. The Day of Atonement in its type proves the same, for the Israelites were well informed of the event, their duty, and the consequence. 2SR page 220. If ancient Israel, they were well informed, how much more in the last and the final Day of Atonement. I remember the statement in 6 BC 1056. I would like to read that reading. On 6 BC, our Bible Commentary, Volume 6, 1056. It says, no excuse for willful ignorance. No excuse for willful ignorance. I wot that through ignorance ye did it, said Peter. But this ignorance did not excuse the action, for they had great light granted unto them. The statement is made that had they known that he was the Prince of Life, they would not have crucified him. But why did they not know? But why did they not know? Because they choose not to know. They had no interest to search and study, and their ignorance proved their eternal ruin. They had the strongest evidence on which to base their faith, and they were under obligation to God to accept the evidence He had given them. Their unbelief made them guilty of the blood of the only begotten Son of the infinite God. 6 BC 1056. Ponder deeply, brothers and sisters. Plenty of proofs. There is an abundance of evidences that God had promised, that God had forewarned His people, that on that last and final Day of Atonement, before it will arrive, God will inform them. Who? The living saints. To the people who must know that their cases are on trial. 2TG number 12, page 30. You and I, it says here, to the people who must know that their cases are on trial. Who are that people? Those under the seventh seal. And according to 2TG 12:29, that is 2TG 12:30, to the people who must know that their cases are on trial. And in 2TG number 12, page 29, John truly paid it as a prophecy. But when it actually takes place, then God's agency on earth, the spirit of prophecy in the church, is to proclaim that the event has actually taken place. Who will proclaim it? The spirit of prophecy in the church will be the one to proclaim it, that the event has actually taken place. This reading material, brothers and sisters, was published by the Bayesian movement. Although I am not so certain whether this writing is really the writings of B.T. Hotep or not, but I would like to read, brothers and sisters, because it helps. It can help to our study, because the statement is even reality. So let us read the statement. It says, track number 16, on page 31. Track number 16, page 31. This, the 144,000, are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Do you have track 16, page 31? This, the 144,000, are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. They followed him as truth progresses. Hence, they followed him as it progresses during his work in the sanctuary for the judgment of the dead. And they faithfully follow him on as his mediatorial work changes to the judgment of the living. Thus, they follow him on in victory to Mount Zion. You see, although that statement is supported by the shepherd's rod, brothers and sisters. Now, here's another statement that I would like to quote. Emphasizing that the judgment of the living is in progress. And it says that it did not say. Page 55. It says, in consequence, the prophecy that the hour of his judgment is come would have had to be declared ahead of time, out of time, which at that time would have been a false declaration, a thing which the Holy Spirit never makes. Then it says, let it be emphasized that the first angel's message does not say, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment shall come. It says, but rather that the hour of this judgment is come. This scripture clearly shows that the truth of the judgment had to be declared not before, but the exact time the judgment convened. Also that His truth is in all respects meet in due season. Matthew 24 verse 45, given neither too soon nor too late, and that while we are taught truth, we are at the same time made to realize concerning God's visiting His people to make known to them the time to which they have come. So, that is really a wonderful statement because according to the Shepherd's Rod in 1SR 156, 157, the verb is come is in present tense. And it says, therefore, God had no intention to make the judgment known prior to the actual time. Otherwise, such revelation would be grammatically incorrect. 1SR 156 and 157. But the Shepherd's Rod made it so plain. In 2SR 219, it says, while the judgment for the living is in progress, every sin must be confessed and put away. He who would neglect this great privilege will find himself involved in everlasting ruin, cut off from among his people. Ignoring this most vital subject would not profit us in the least. So let us distinctly separate the judgment for the living and judgment of the living. Because judgment of the living, that proceedings is in the most holy place, the preposition of. But judgment for the living, that is Christ's mediatorial work in the holy place. Judgment for the living is blotting out of names, whereas judgment of the living is blotting out of sins. But according to the Shepherd's Rod, in tract number 3, page 18, saying, hence His mediatorial work began first in the holy, then in the most holy. That is Christ's mediatorial work. Began first in the holy place and then in the most holy place. Christ's mediatorial work in 1833 to 1844 in the holy place, that is pointing to the temple. As we studied it several times in tract number 5, 109 and 110. But there are 3 classes of saints to be judged in the holy place: temple, altar, and worshippers. The temple, they are those who died under the first seal, second, third, fourth, fifth. But the altar, those who died under the sixth seal. And then the worshippers, that is the 144,000 living saints, you and I, brothers and sisters. Now, I'm just trying to establish your faith firmly rooted and grounded to the word it is written. That this statement in 11 Symbolic Code number 12, page 7, saying, if no one is to know the day and hour until the Lord comes, then how could this servant be aware of the day and the hour? What day and hour mentioned here? Matthew 24 verse 36. Now, what is Matthew 24 verse 36? Let us read 2SR 184. 2SR page 184. It says, Matthew 24, 2SR 184. Matthew 24 verse 36 and 50 are description of the same event. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Matthew 25 verse 13. This has reference to the time of the judgment and not of his coming to earth. For the saints shall know the day and hour of Christ coming in the clouds to receive the redeemed, as it shall be announced by the Father shortly before his coming. 2SR page 184 and 185. What is the coming mentioned in Matthew 24? Christ coming to the most holy place, to the judgment. Christ's second coming. Therefore, the parable in Luke, the parable in Mark, the parable in Matthew, concerning the coming of Christ, according to volume 2, 190, it says that this has reference to the coming of Christ, his return from his ministration to the most holy place. And that is the second coming of Jesus Christ to the most holy place, the fulfillment of the vision of Enoch as related by Jude in Jude chapter 1 verse 14, according to 2SR 241, when Jesus Christ will return to the most holy place, bringing the names of the living saints, 144,000 in number. And the shepherd's rod says, if no one is to know the day and hour, what day? What hour? Without any doubts, the hour mentioned here is at midnight. And that is why it is called the midnight cry. What is the midnight cry? 2SR 181. It says that the midnight cry was first proclaimed prior to 1844. And the coming of the bridegroom is Christ coming to the most holy place. 2SR 181. So the statement is very plain. It says here, if no one is to know the day and hour until the Lord comes, then how could this servant be aware of the day and the hour? Do you see that one statement seems to contradict the other? No one knows the hour, the day. Therefore, God's people must be ready for the event to occur at almost any time. And if this servant does not faithfully perform his duties, then when the Lord is about to come, that servant will not be aware of it. Is that not how you understand these two statements? Up to a certain time, God's people do not know the day and the hour, but if they continue to receive meat in due season, a day will come when this servant is going to be made aware of that hour and of that day. And that predicted time is now fulfilling, brothers and sisters. And the shepherd's rod declared clearly in answerer number 2, page 23. It says, indeed, answerer number 2, page 23, indeed, though the scriptures do say that even the angels know not the hour, yet if they are ever to be ready to start out with the Lord upon his second advent, certainly they must someday beforehand be told of it in order to make ready and to start out. And although no man now knows the day or hour, yet if the Father sees fit to declare it, we cannot but know it. And that is the time when the Father began speaking, he fixed the day, 2SR 222. Brethren, these truths is described by the Sherpas as incredible, amazing, wonderful. Although, accordingly, that however the magnitude of the message, I remember that statement in 2SR page 245, it says, since the most exalted and promising news of celestial glory was rejected, it says, since the most exalted and promising news of celestial glory was rejected, and the messenger unappreciated in both cases, old and modern words, it is positive that whatever truth is presented, regardless of its magnitude of glory, these scoffers of today will not believe and will thus bring condemnation upon themselves. And to the humble and teachable brothers and sisters, these messages are directly addressed to all of you. Because I do fully believe the promise. God declared clearly that the church will not sleep forever. It says here in 2TG 24, on page 23, 2TG 24:23, the church therefore will not sleep forever. The true people of God will awake to their poverty. Poverty of what? Spiritual poverty. That without the present truth, we are in a deep spiritual poverty. That the true people of God will awake to their poverty. They will profit at this rousing call. They will be profited with this rousing call. Because God's word will not return unto him void. The voice of inspiration says in 1TG 49 on page 8, we are assured that revival and reformation will take place among all God's people, that his word will not return unto him void. Thank you very much for listening and viewing this program. Brothers and sisters, soon, very soon, God will gather all the 144,000. And although at this time we did not meet each other, but what a great reunion would be that day. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for listening and viewing this program. May the good Lord bless you and have a beautiful, wonderful evening.